Thank you, Speaker. In honor to rise in tribute to Eric Cunningham today on behalf of the PC Caucus, bring greetings and welcome to his wife Heather, daughter Ashley, her husband John, and of course the Right Honourable John Turner, Prime Minister of Canada. Eric Cunningham was a good man. He had impact. He made a difference. And he was a fighter with each breath. You know, one thing I've learned in this business is you never know who you learn a life lesson from. I remember back in mid-1990s, I sat in the back corner there. I was encountering these creatures called the Ontario Liberal Party. We had been through a recent battle, and I would say to my colleagues that were there at the time, it was a rather acrimonious time in the legislature. And one of my early meetings was another type of creature called a liberal lobbyist. I was wondering exactly what this would be. So it happened to be a gentleman named Eric Cunningham, former Liberal MPP from down my way. We share some of the same territory in Mount Riley, Niagara, West Glanbrook, like his in Hamilton, Wentworth. So I didn't know exactly what I was in for, Speaker. But here he was, a gentleman, a consummate professional, a lot more soft-spoken in person than you'd see in the Assembly. He got the game, he played it well, he gave me good advice. We had a few things in common, too, that were part of the conversation. He's a graduate of the University of Western Ontario, as am I. He was the youngest member, I think, elected to the Assembly back in his first win back in 1974? 75. He was even younger in 74. I actually wasn't the youngest member elected in 1995. That honor belonged to John Baird, but I told Eric at the time I was the most immature. But he understood, and I think my colleagues like Jim Bradley and Monty Quinder might be surprised at this. He actually ended up coming to my fundraisers as well when he had Melrose Communications. But he got his point across. He knew how to do that. He understood the bounds that we lived within as a PC government at the time, and he was highly effective in the work he did because he was a professional. He cared deeply about the issues, particularly around the environment. I had a lot of respect for him. I can only imagine how much he's missed by my colleagues who knew him across the floor, let alone his family here today. He came from that era before the cameras. So when the cameras were on, he was one fiery member of the Legislative Assembly. I think he thought that fighting Irishman from Notre Dame, he thought he was a little soft in his public portrayal. Stood up for his issues, fought for what he believed in, passion. And I think showed an incredible affection and belief in the philosophies of the Liberal Party when, after winning 3 straight elections, decided to step aside from the Provincial Assembly to run for John Turner at the national level. That takes some doing, that takes some guts. And I can tell what kind of impact he had with the federal Liberals to see the Prime Minister taking the time to be with us here today. So when he was in the Assembly, he was a deep red. But the other part of his colors, if you will, was he had a strong, strong streak of green. Always championed environmental initiatives, environmental critic for a while. Clean water, clean air, parks, recreation areas. We have a lot in Hamilton area to what Eric Cunningham championed at the time. Of course, as well, working in the water industry made a difference in where the province went in the time ahead. I know colleagues in his party and the NDP will reflect the same thing that I heard. His colleagues said he loved his constituents, and they loved him back. He engendered the respect of friends, colleagues, and clients for his wisdom, his thoughtfulness, and integrity. He was a proud Canadian, a loyal, faithful, dedicated member of the Liberal Party of Ontario and that of Canada. And some say he was the kind that would fight the unwinnable battles. He relished a good fight. But he had his share of victories, and sometimes it's a fight that's more important at the end of the day when you stand on principle. We thank him for it. You know, sometimes bad things can happen to good people. That's a bitter irony of life. And it's not so much accepting that fact as what you do about it. The sad irony is that much of Eric's later years after leaving the Assembly were tied up in a legal battle, but he still fought for justice with his heart, with his family, and what he would leave behind. Some justice in that, some that gave his family a So they say a bit of a living hell. They're now in jail. And we stand in tribute to Eric Cunningham and what he stood for, his image and his legacy. He's a good man, an incredible and successful politician, great achievements in life. And we stand today, and I'm proud as a member of the PC party, for respect for a member that sat opposite, but was with us and actually making a huge difference for his community, for his environment, and building bridges across the party. Thank you.
Okay.